You know, sometimes I think we take the old digital downloading service for granted. It used to be, if you wanted to play a demo of the newest, coolest game coming out, well, you had to go get your hands on a physical disc. And for me, I can think of no game I was more excited to play than Metal Gear Solid 2. And in March of 2001, not more than 5 months after the release of the PlayStation 2, we got our hands on a demo of the game. Yay, we should have been excited, right? Ooh, there was just one catch. In order to play the demo of Metal Gear Solid 2, you had to buy Zone of the Enders. Zone of the what? Huh? Yeah, I know. That was the same thing I said to myself all those years ago. The game did have Hideo Kojima's name on the front cover, so hey, it's gotta be great, right? Well, the game wasn't terrible, it wasn't amazing either. Problem was, the game seemed bogged down in some unnecessary gameplay elements that didn't really enhance the experience any more than it hurt it. And I think gamers expected much more of a game with the Hideo Kojima label on it, especially in light of all the other amazing games he created in the past. Most people thought the series would go nowhere, but my boy Kojima, he doesn't do so well listening to critics. And in March of 2003, 2 years after the release of the original Zone of the Enders, Kojima and crew would release the sequel, aptly titled Zone of the Enders: The Second Runner. But could this game rest on its own laurels without a demo for a highly anticipated game packed in? We'll find out all of this and more in Volume 1 of Substance TV. As the game begins, you'll find yourself as a certain Mr. Dingo Egret. Dingo? Out of all the names of heroes in the world, you went with Dingo? What is a dingo anyway?
The dingo is an ancient, free-roaming, primitive canine unique to the continent of Australia. Its original ancestors are thought to have arrived with humans from Southeast Asia thousands of years.
All right. Wow, that was more than I ever wanted to know about a dingo, so thanks, yeah. So Dingo's doing his thing, mining ice on the planet of Callisto, and what do you know, he stumbles upon the orbital frame Jehuti from the first Zone of the Enders. Though this meet and greet is cut a little short when he's attacked by a group of troops from a military organization known as Barum. And this pretty much sets the story up for the rest of the game. Fans of the Metal Gear Solid series will find themselves at home in this story arc. Little love, romance, an unseen twist, a plot device, and a couple preachy moments make up for a typical Kojima script. I'll admit, I found myself kind of caught up in the story. Certainly not of Shakespearean pedigree, but it does advance the story and plot line along enough to make you wonder, well, what's going to happen next? Speaking of Metal Gear, the graphics and artwork have a distinct Metal Gear Solid flavor, shall we say. And this isn't just because it's a game made by Hideo Kojima. This is all thanks to the creative works of Yoji Shinkawa, famous for his artistic work in Policenauts and, most notably, Metal Gear Solid. Also, the camera work in cutscenes reeks that Metal Gear Solid vibe. And when it comes to art direction and camera work, being compared to Metal Gear Solid isn't a bad thing at all. The physical graphics themselves are very nice looking, and I think they interpret the vision of Yoji Shinkawa very well. And in typical Kojima fashion, this all runs at 60 frames a second. Now, anyone who knows me realizes I'm not a big fan of the grays and browns. But in the case of Zone of the Enders 2, the grays and browns work to the game's advantage. You see, although the backgrounds may sometimes be browns or grays, the contrast between Jehuti's glowing bright blue frame, the enemies' reds, the explosions, and all the other on-screen action makes for an interesting dichotomy. The soundtrack to this game was composed by, how do I say that? Please insert your earplugs as this Anglo-Saxon American prepares to butcher these foreign names. Okay. Maki Kirioka? Akirio Honda? Toshiyuki Kakuta? Norihiko Hibino? Huh? How'd I do here, yeah? Yeah, I know, it sucked. You may now remove your earplugs as the slaughter of human language is now over. This is one of those game soundtracks that I just had to have the CD for. It's like if Harry Gregson Williams was dropped off in the movie Tron and forced to compose some weird symphonic techno music. And like the icing on top of this symphonic cake, the sound effects do a wonderful job adding that extra little layer of depth that make it all the more enjoyable. As a kid, I grew up with Japanese mechas, these huge, towering, slow, big, mechanized machines. And the mechanical designs in Zone of the Enders are certainly anything but slow. And that's one of the things I like about Zone of the Enders. It is a mech game, but that doesn't mean it has to be slow. And not only is he fast, but they gave Jehuti a ton of cool abilities to boot. He's got a shot, his homing laser, his burst shot, his close range attack, his blade attack, his dash blade, his burst blade, his combo smash, his grab, his throw, his spinning throw, his swing, his grab block, his grab burst. Whew. And I haven't even mentioned the awesome array of sub-weapons the guy's got. I could seriously go on and on about all the different abilities in this game. Bottom line, it just lets you play the game any way you want. And you'd think, because, there's all this cool, complicated stuff I can do, it would then make the controls complicated. Well, you're wrong. You know who that is? That's right, baby. Vic Viper from the Gradius series. A pimped out Vic Viper that can not only transform into the aircraft, complete with all the attacks from the Gradius series, but also into an orbital frame. Now that's what I call an awesome homage, Konami. Even more awesome, there's a special minigame that lets you play this weird back perspective third-person Gradius-style shooter. The game is semi-rare and can still be found at local game stores and pawn shops for around $15 to $20. Though the Zone of the Enders series was tainted by the first game, the second runner did more than enough to make me forget about all that other junk the first game did wrong. Zone of the Enders, the second runner, certainly stands on its own without a need for some demo to give it validity. And Kojima's even dropped a few hints about possibly doing a sequel for the game. All I can say is, please, do it, please. Even with all the plethora of mech games available today, I'm still hard-pressed to find a game that plays exactly like Zone of the Enders, the second runner. Make sure you pick this game up today.